Cleaving for 2, castle for 3 or 4 total. We have 1 mana to spare. What are blockers even? We put it on the Phoenix, right? Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch Hello Good Game. Today we are playing mono red and looking at the easiest way to consistently beat Omnath decks. Yes, Omnath still gains lots of life, but with Earl removed from the equation, we have the chance to get in underneath some of these ridiculously overpowered decks. So today we will be looking at the easiest way to beat Omnath with mono red. This deck was created by LSN, who reached top Mythic rank 235 last season, so you know it's an absolute banger. We are playing traditional standard, which means best of 3. We have the sideboarded incorporated today, and we do an excellent job at a sideboard guide versus the 4-color Omnath deck and mono red for you guys today. I want to help bridge the gap between best of 1 and best of 3, help usher in beginners and new players into best of 3. I think it is a much friendlier environment. I know hand smoothing exists, but there's nothing like knowing what you're facing next. In the second and third match, you can use your mulligan abilities to your advantage. Many people won't try to mulligan for their sideboard picks. You can do this. This is an elite strategy that only the pros use to increase your win rate within Magic the Gathering Arena. As always, if you find any value within this video, I encourage you to give it a thumbs up, share the channel out to a friend, and of course, subscribe for more content. As always, we'll break down the deck list in its entirety, talking about each individual card, the strengths, the weaknesses, why it was chosen to be included within the deck. Next, we'll move on to the overall strategy and synergy. You know, what's our game plan and the steps we'll take to accomplish it. Moving on, we have gameplay footage breaking down all of our playlines and interactions between mono red, red deck wins, and 4-color Omnath, the best deck in the current meta. Finally, we have our closing thoughts, you know, our recap, talking about our future content plans, things about the channel, etc, etc, etc. Again, I thank you for your time and attention. Now let's get right into it. Mono red burn starts out, I guess it would be actually not mono red burn, mono red aggro, pardon me, starts out with 4 copies of Fervent Champion. This is a 1/1 human knight. Now we do take use of the knights a little bit within the deck, so that's why I want to bring this up. With first strike and haste, as long as it attacks another target attacking knight you control, will get +1/+0 until end of turn. So if you have 2 champions, they'll trigger on each other, and then of course the other knights within the deck. Equip abilities that you activate that target Fervent Champion cost 3 less to activate. We do have Embercleave in the deck if you're familiar with that. It auto-equips, but if your creature gets removed, it is on the battlefield, and typically it costs 3 to re-equip. It will be free if you do so on your Fervent Champion. So this is an amazing 1-drop aggro creature. It gets damage in right away. You can buff it to combine the first strike with the increased damage for sneak defense, you know, sneak attacks to kill your opponent's creatures when they weren't really using it. We have 2 copies of Redcap Melee at instant speed, dealing 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Non-red permanents dealt damage this way will require you to sacrifice a land. Omnath has red within it. Typically, this is strictly a sideboard card. However, with so many people playing 4-color Omnath, this is a must-have in your main board right now. 2 copies of Shock. I call this the Cobra Killer. Instant speed as well, dealing 2 damage to any target. And speaking of Cobra Killers, we have 4 copies of Spikefield Hazard / Spikefield Cave. This is the MDFC, coming in tapped, adding a red to our pool, or at instant speed, dealing 1 damage to any target. If a permanent dealt damage this way would die this turn, instead exile it, which is absolutely amazing. Goodbye, Mr. Lotus Cobra. Into our 2 drops, we have 4 copies of Robber of the Rich. This is a 2/2 with reach and haste. Whenever Robber of the Rich attacks, if defending player has more cards in their hand than you, exile the top card of their library. During any turn you attacked with a rogue, you may cast this card and spend mana as though it were any color to cast said spell. 4 copies of Rimrock Knight for 2. It's a 3/1 which cannot block. It has Boulder Rush attached to it for 1 at instant speed as the adventure. Target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. 4 copies of Heartfire Eliminator, or Heartfire Immolator. My apologies. A 2/2. human wizard with prowess. We can pay 1, sacrifice Heartfire Immolator. It deals damage equal to its power to creature or planeswalker. You know, that could be pretty cool, especially, you know, potentially we buff it with our Rimrock Knight, the Boulder Rush. It becomes a 5/2 plus prowess, so a 6/3, and then we can sack it for a little bit extra damage. So, you know, that does stack up quite nicely. 4 copies of Bonecrusher Giant. You know, this is our last 2-drop in the form of Stomp at instant speed as the adventure. Damage can't be prevented this turn. Stomp deals 2 damage to any target. And then our first 3-drop is the Giant itself, a 4/3. And when it becomes the spell, the target of a spell, it will deal 2 damage to that spell's controller. 4 copies of Anax, Hardened in the Forge. This is a 3 toughness. Power is equal to your devotion to red creature. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, create a 1/1 red satyr that will not block. And then if the power creature of that, if the power of that creature was 4 or greater, create 2 tokens instead. 2 copies of Torbran, Thane of Redfell, a 2/4. And if a source you control would deal damage to an opponent or permanent an opponent controls this turn, it's going to deal that much damage plus 2. I say any source. It is red source, but within the mono red deck, that's the only source we have. 4 copies of Embercleave, flash for 6, costing 1 less to cast for each attack and creature we control. When it enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature we control. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, has double strike and trample. And then, like we talked about, the equip cost, if it's been removed, will be 3. Or if that creature then it was equipped to was removed, we should say. You know, these spells are accompanied by some land. We have 18 mountains and 4 Castle Embereths, which we can tap for 4 total, giving all of our creatures +1/+0 until end of turn. And like I mentioned, we are playing traditional standard today, which means best of 3. Into our sideboard options, we have an additional copy of Redcap Melee. You know, there's not a 100% chance it's Omnath. It's enough to main deck a few. If it is, grab some more. 2 copies of Embereth Shieldbreaker. This is a 2/1 for 2 with Battle Display. Another one of my favorite sideboard cards here. Destroy target artifact. This is how to eat lucky clovers. 4 copies of Rolling Vortex for 2, an enchantment, and at the beginning of each player's upkeep, Rolling Vortex deals 1 damage to them. That's absolutely amazing. It combos with Torbran, which is very good. And then, you know, whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana was cast to cast this spell, it will deal 5 damage to that player. We don't see this too often anymore, but it is, you know, still a possibility. And of course, we can pay 1, and your opponents can't gain life this turn. 2 copies of Thundering Rebuke for 2 at sorcerer speed, dealing 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. You know, more ways to kill Omnath if you need, or the Terror of the Peak, stuff like this. 2 copies of Phoenix of Ash, 2/2 with flying and haste. We can pay 3 to pump it by +2/+0 until end of turn. The escape cost is 4 plus 3 other cards from our graveyard being exiled, and it will escape with a +1/+1 counter on it. 2 copies of Purphoros Intervention. This is a sorcery speed for 1 plus X, so a scaling spell, and we get to choose one. Create an X/1 red elemental token creature with trample and haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Intervention deals twice X damage to target creature or planeswalker. You know, not so bad there. And we were looking for ways to deal lots of damage if our opponent is using a control deck and the match goes on. This is going to be it. Not only can we remove their planeswalkers, but we can throw out that haste trample attacker as well. And of course, 2 copies of Shatter Skull Smashing and Shatter Skull the Hammer Pass. You know, it's not in main deck in case we run up into another aggro matchup, but if it's not, it's in the sideboard to place in. It deals X damage up to, 2 creatures or planeswalkers divided how we choose. If X is 6 or more, you can deal twice X damage as we choose to those targets. And on the opposing side is the Bolt land. We'll have to pay 3 life to have it come in untapped. If not, it will just come in tapped. So that's the sideboard. This was our main board. Let's talk about, you know, our overall strategy and some of the synergies that are going to help us accomplish it. And then we'll, you know, do a quick recap of the sideboard for the matchup. And then, you know, we do, when we actually sideboard, talk about it more in depth. So our general strategy here is to curve out. This is known as playing a 1-drop, a 2-drop, a 3-drop, and hopefully a 4-drop as well in concession without missing a land drop or a turn. Preferably, this is a Fervent Champion on turn 1 for me, Robber of the Rich on turn 2, it could also be the Heartfire Immolator, right? Because of prowess, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Embercleave is a non-creature spell, so potentially that does increase the damage here by 1. But the Robber is my favorite just because you can really get a look at what your opponent's library is. You know, potentially you interrupt them. I've pulled Shatter the Skies, Extinction Events more times than I can count, again, in the Omnath deck. That's not really an issue, but still, we can pull Omnath with Robber. Absolutely, sign us up. So, you know, the Immolator can push out more damage, but if you need the disruption, you go Robber. Our 3-drop, obviously, Anax, Hardened in the Forge. You know, we have the 1 devotion and the 2 devotion plus 2 devotion from Anax, which is 4. It's going to be a 4/3 if it gets removed. Then you get 2 Satyr tokens, plus you already have the 2 creatures, at which you play Torbran, you go wide. That increases the damage of everything by 2. Absolutely awesome. If Anax doesn't get removed, now we play Embercleave on top of Anax. The devotion was 4. It increases by 2, goes to 6, increases by an additional 1. This means it is a 7/4 creature with trample and double strike. Absolutely, that is a massive hit, and that is our ideal playline. Stick to it as close as possible. You can venture away from it if you don't pull those spells, or if you need to remove your opponent's creatures like Lotus Cobra, like Omnath, right? Do treat removal as a priority unless you know you have your drops and you know they don't have disruption to keep you from getting lethal damage. So that is the general strategy. As far as synergies go within the deck, you know, there's not much going on. We have Rimrock Knight, +2/+0. If we put that on our Immolator, it's like +3/+1. So there's pretty good value there for a relatively cheap cost. And it may, at a certain point, a late game, if something happens, you don't have Anax, be worth it to combo your Boulder Rush onto your Immolator because it's so cheap. +3/+1 for 1 is very good stat boost, and Embercleave on top of it, giving it +1/+1, double strike, trample, and the additional +1/+1 because prowess, right? So, you know, it's not only Anax you can cleave, you could also cleave your Immolator. I think that's very, very cool. Bonecrusher Giant can be equipped with Embercleave. It's an equipment, so it's not actually targeting it as a spell, so you don't take damage, which is awesome. And then if your opponent is going to remove it, they have to take the damage, which is pretty cool. And it also acts as a form of Cobra removal. This little blue guy here is not a human, that's a little Lotus Cobra, I'll have you know. So, you know, that's your main priority here, is keep your opponent in check within the early plays. You know, don't overextend yourself by playing removal on things that don't need to be removed. Keep it, hold it back, and you never know, you know, maybe you need a few extra reach damage, I call it. So you get your opponent down to 2, and instead of removing, you know, a needless creature, you save that burn in your hand, and then you can just cast it on them to finish out the game. So only remove things that are going to have a direct impact on you, kind of like Lotus Cobra, something that gets out of hand, a giant killer that taps to tap your Anax, stuff like this, right? So with that being said, let's visit the sideboard really quick. In this specific case of Omnath, Redcap Melee goes in. If it's Adventure Omnath, Embereth Shieldbreaker goes in. If the gaining of life is really upsetting us through Omnath, we can even take our Rolling Vortex and nullify that life gain whenever they play a land for 1. It does cost mana, which keeps us away from our curve, but in the gameplay footage we have today, you're going to notice how much life they're able to gain, and it is a lot to chop through. So you can save yourself a lot of work through Rolling Vortex and just nullifying their life gain every turn. Yes, I know it's not ideal, but it's better than nothing, and the fact that it combos with Torbran is really cool as well. Thundering Rebuke if you need some removal, Phoenix of Ash if you just want more aggro and they had the defenders. And you know, for the mismatchups where that's not going on, we have the Intervention. And of course, if we need removal and we know it's not another aggro matchup, because if it is, we don't want to be paying 3 life for a land just to take more damage. So, you know, a few of the things aren't really relevant to the Omnath matchup, but they still warrant description of their use, right? So, you know, if you do have other creatures to remove, the smashing does really good. Mono green, for example. So we do talk about the specific sideboard options more once we do get into the sideboarding. So with that being said, that was our deck tech and our deck breakdown. If you found any value here, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the channel out to a friend. We have a 500,000 gem giveaway, free entry cash prize monthly tournaments, yada yada yada. The list goes on. Let's get into today's gameplay footage. But before we do, if you want to support the channel, you can do so on Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube. And I am live on those platforms. YouTube at 6 a.m., Twitch at 7 to 7:30, and then we're back on YouTube at 6 p.m. All times are Mountain Standard. Subscribe, turn on your notifications, and then you don't have to do any conversions. Let's get right into it. Don't forget to watch to the end because we have some once-in-a-lifetime news that you cannot miss out on. Take care, and we'll talk to you in a few seconds. Playing first. Alrighty. 2 cleaves, we don't really need that. We do have Anax though. Let's keep it. We can afford to miss our second drop playing this slow if we don't pull our third land. So let's play quickly with our champion. We have shock for crab removal. Sorry, not crab. Cobra. You know how it's Cobra Kai? It should really be Cobra Crab. Alright. Green. That's, you know, the start of a bad thing. Could be adventure. We pull our land, but we still now want to push into Anax as quickly as possible. Let's take our hit. What we need is another creature. Or I guess our fourth land. No blocks. That would just be silly, right? Nice. Woo! These decision-making skills. They're tabbed out in Pornhub, you know. Downloading Runeterra. Some other degenerate stuff. You name it. Probably out in public without a mask. Ah! Well, I mean, a win's a win's a win at the end of the day. I mean, I doubt that they're not here. Watch them immediately start playing. Wow. This makes great content. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content just like this. You know, we've got the 500,000 gem giveaway to make up for it at least. Free entry cash prize tournaments. They are here still. Oh my god. Wow, good for you. Good for you. Rope us again, I dare you. Alright, they decide that now they want to block. Oh, now they don't want to block. Can't get a straight answer out of this guy. Ah! No petty theft. Do we take it in case there is a petty theft? If we Embercleave, they're gonna bounce them both. I don't think we should do anything. Is it a hard decision for them to come to, though? And you can't trick me, instant speed petty theft. Hashtag not that clever. Go ahead. And they let the first strike damage through first? Stick their draw engine out. I mean, I'm just confused at this point. I'm just as confused as you are, is what I'm meaning to say. Huh. We'll replay our Anax here. Okay. So playing a little bit conservative there, and it actually saves us. You know, they were 100% like, oh, I'm just gonna petty theft that Embercleave. No, 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 no. They're probably stream sniping. That's what the initial lag was about. They're logging in, and they seen I have Embercleave, so they're like, they're definitely using it, and then we just juke by not. Oh gosh. Elite plays. They could, you know, stomp the heck out of us. We just get the 1-1-1, so it's nothing good. Really? Oh, they want a single stomp? But if they're casting stomp, it gets copied. One would do it anyways. We just came out of Mythic, so this is an interesting match. They're just too big-brained. They could have killed it regardless. So I think we were still in the right. It's it for 3. We can Embercleave next turn with our Fervent Champion in play as well. Hitting for just like a bunch of damage. 12 or 13. I don't even know. A bunch. Let's leave it at that. They have 2 cards in hand. They should probably just play the Lovestruck Beast, right? Alright, let's take to the sideboard. We're playing against Adventure. Hashtag Shieldbreaker. You know, they did have the Giants, but it's like not a majority of their creatures are red, so the Redcap Melee can go, right? So we're talking about our sideboard plays pretty extensively in today's video to try to help you guys get from best of 1 mono red into best of 3 mono red, because it's still very, very good. And now we just browse, you know, is there any artifact removal? Right? No. You know, a little haste in the air, that's kind of cool. Haste is great because they're going to be bouncing our targets, so if they have haste, it kind of limits that. As far as gaining life, I don't really think so unless they can get to their sideboard and pull, you know, like the Spear of Destiny, as I like to call it. So I think this is fine. You know, like the Bonecrusher Giant does hold some value. If we can get in with an attacker, it's good. I like the Phoenix here a little bit, I think. But as far as what we sub out, I mean, maybe the Heartfires. And I think that's fine. We still have a minute left. So to recap, we take out our red caps, right? There's no red targets other than the Giant we want to deal with. And we put in 2 Phoenix of Ash. And then we also incorporated our Embereth Shieldbreaker for the Clover removal. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, Lego. Should be no problem. We have the appropriate shirt on today, so we'll be blessed with many wins. Our opponent gets to go first here in the second match, though, so that's going to be the hardest thing for us to overcome. They might not even be here, right? We could get a free second win, which is one of my favorite things about traditional or best of 3 matches, is that the majority of the time your opponent's like, I'm not into it, I'm out. Right? I like this. 3 land is pretty cool with a red deck. Phoenix is nice as well. And we do have a Torbran. We'd like a turn 3 Anax, turn 4 Cleave. Oh, that Shieldbreaker is real good as well. Nice. And that only costs 1 at sorcery speed. So if we see a Clover here and we shield break it, they might scoop. There's the Clover. I wish it was instant speed. Man, that would be cool. And the perfect sideboard play against this deck. Ouch. Right? That's not good for them. So good start. Let's see if it's enough to carry us through. They may have Control deleted. Shieldbreaker. Tough. 2 Fs, baby. No, they're here. Sad. I like when people concede. And yeah, normally don't they have like 2 or 3 of them? We're gonna keep the shock. Oh my gosh. Stop it. Hashtag sideboard luck. Let's get our breaker in play, holding up our shock. The Clover Slayer, yeah. He's just breaking. That's what it is in the art. You can see it. It's not a shield that he's breaking. Oh, where's this? Over here. It's not a shield. That's a Clover. There's... Screw the Clover. Alright, so that's cool. Hopefully they don't cast on top. Give us priority. Give us priority. Oh, we got priority. We nuked the Clover. We nuked the Innkeeper. They get the draw, though. They got flash. I forgot that the borrower could block flyers for some reason. Oh well, that's fine. We should have went in with Torbran. Whatever. Whatever. Maybe it's good. Maybe they had a Clover and a Bonecrusher Giant. Torbran would have got stomped. So let's chill out a bit. That's really good. Yes! They have instant speed interaction. Could be more petty thefts. Could be Bonecrusher Giants. I'm scared of them all. Yes. Okay, we're tapping for land here. We have a green to the pool. Our first Bonecrusher Giants played. They could passage, pull another red source. They also have the Triome for a second giant. It's a borrower. That's fine. And then we trade with the Phoenix. The Phoenix is replayable from the grave. Has escape. This is nice, right? We get 1 damage. You know, we'll take a creature. You draw to 2 cards. There's 2 in exile you can replay. We've got Torbran still in hand. Didn't get destroyed. And a Phoenix to replay. Plus a Shieldbreaker if you get lucky. Oh, they get luckier than lucky. Alright. This is not good. They can Fable Passage and Petty Theft or Stomp. Or these are already in exile. They've already played both of these. These are creatures. Right? You can kind of see how they're glowing orange. That means they've already been played. They're different than the Escape to the Wild creatures. Alright, Giant Killer for 1. That's value. Don't get me wrong. We need to cleave off the top. Giant Killer's annoying. Torbran, Phoenix, 3 in the grave. With Phoenix, we need 3 other. Oh no. Omnath. That's game. We can pick up. We took out our melees because we didn't think there was Omnath. This is like the best deck. I just showcased this yesterday for 3.5 hours. We went like 18-2 or something. Just absolutely crazy. So this isn't good. Yikes. Just such a broken card. Escape to the Wilds lights it up too. Like, if you don't have it, now you do. Right? That's the 4th land trigger for them as well. Seems totally fair. They have to activate Giant Killer on Anax, but we're still swinging in. Well, not really. Kind of. With 1. No blocks. They can gain basically that life back, which is so sad. I don't think the Clover is an issue anymore. If Torbran can survive and we can get this Phoenix smashing, maybe. Right? If we can pull a cleave, even better. We're going the distance. Oh, just a casual 4 life. NBD. 11-11. Sideboard for the lifelink. They would. Not enough. Not enough. Taps Anax. They have 2 blockers, so yeah, we hit for 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. No way. More removal? You have a giant just chilling? Good game. That's good. Before our attack phase as well. That allows us to bring our Phoenix in play. It hits for 5. Again, these 2 will get stopped. So we hit for 3, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12. We get real close. It's the only way it works. Right? Just no lands. No lands! No more life gain! And let's top deck a cleave, please. For this Phoenix. You should get out of here, man. You should just get out of here. Alright, they're like, well, I'm just gonna ramp more. That's fun. Oh, that's the land they need. I wasn't even thinking of that. Hashtag life gain. They've gained 12 life here. I want to bring up. That's a lot of life gain, man. Another 12, 12, whatever. Tap your creatures, I dare you. Oh! Yeah, they have enough. I've taken the damage. Yeah, they don't do it. Ugh. So they have 3 blockers. I think we just go for it. Or do we wait one more turn? They block the 3 best. 1, 2, 3. That means we hit for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Plus 12, 13, 14. 15, 16. We don't get it. One more turn, baby. Let's double pump. We hit for 9. We get close. They have the Borrower as a blocker on our flyer, so we're gonna have to go wide is the thing. Go wide with Castle. No more lands. No lands, no life gain. They've gained, what, like 16 life? These defenders. Ah! That god dang life gain. Ah! I ah! Hot dog. I don't even know if we have it. We're going for it, though. Let's see the blockers before we do anything. We have 7 mana. Cleaving for 2, Castle for 3, or 4 total. We have 1 mana to spare. What are blockers even? We put it on the Phoenix, right? Is that enough even? It might not be. It should be. I think it is. Omnath. I'm pretty sure we got him. Mono red going the distance against a billion life gained. No Earl there, no problem. You know, Earl, the replayability is what really gets you into trouble. Omnath, you know, it still sucks. But if you can deal with it, that's awesome. Great game. Alrighty, interesting. How to beat the best deck in Standard. Mono red coming back out. You know, we want to make the case that Wizards isn't off their rocker, that they probably know what they're doing more times than not. You know, more often than the crazed fanboys seem to think that they do. I think this problem's been solved. They gained a ton of life. we chopped through them, right? We didn't even use our Rolling Vortex, which we should have in that last match, because they gained so much life, and we could have ended it way earlier. With that being said, Uro, so long. I don't really miss you. I think these decks are still really fun to play without you. And now the rest of the community has a chance to try to turn up their aggro deck speed a little bit, right? Do their absolute best, and they're gonna chop you down, boys. So, you know, I like Omnath, but because of the color restrictions and how easy it is to remove the Cobra, it's not that viable with the current land base, in my opinion. It will become, as we receive, you know, a more spread and viable land base as the further expansions release. But right now, it's kind of jank, and people are going to get used to it, and they're going to get better and better at beating it. So even though right now it seems to be the best deck ever conceivable, let's give it a bit. Let's give it 2 to 3 weeks, right? Let's revisit the situation, because we see today we're able to do plenty of damage, and what were they able to do, right? Without an Ugin, deck doesn't go very far. So big woofs. Maybe we actually incorporate some colorless into the deck to kind of engineer around that, right? So Ugin doesn't end the game. Let us know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. I'm really interested on your take for the red deck wins or mono red versus the Omnath. Do you think this is a viable matchup now that Uro's gone, or do you think, you know, it's still just way out to lunch and an inconceivable matchup, and I'm just lucky to have won? Thanks for your time and attention. I really appreciate it. You can like, comment, subscribe to show your support. Share the channel out to a friend. You can support on Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube financially if you want as well. We have a new Amazon link. I get 3% from all your purchases for 24 hours after you click it. I would really appreciate you do all your Christmas shopping there as well. We are live every morning at 6 a.m. on YouTube at 7 to 7:30. We switch to Twitch for 5 to 8 hours, and then we're back on YouTube at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard. Don't do the conversions. Hit the Linktree link up in the description below, and you know, just subscribe to the different platforms and you'll be notified. Today we're playing with MTGA Assistant, the best metagame tracker for the game. You know, you're gonna get the metagame data, you're gonna get the deck videos, the deck write-ups, deck stats, everything you could possibly want is included with MTGA Assistant. That's the Overwolf link in the description below. Be sure to download that if you're on Windows. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate your time and attention. Take care and go enjoy yourself another video. We'll talk to you in a few seconds.